Hey Titans, what's going on? Rules here, and today it's White Star game number 4 against a Chinese team, and I'm really excited to go over this one for you guys. This is going to be one of the most ridiculous and insane games that we may ever have to show you because, well, you'll see. It's absolutely mind-blowing what happens this game. It's like no game we have ever seen or had before. But okay, so it's also our first loss, and we pretty much knew we were going to lose this game right from the very beginning because of how the opponent was playing. So, anyways, here's the Chinese team. I'm not going to pretend to be able to pronounce the symbols of the, their kanji characters, so I'll just refer to them as like their attributes, like Mr. 64 here or whatever. But yeah, they all have distinctions of White Star Hero or higher. And something else very unusual about this team is you can already see that 4 players have the same name, or like not the same name, but a consistently, like clearly they're in on this thing together. If you didn't know, you can only change your name in Hades Star once, and you will probably change corporation many times. So this is a very unusual corporation to see 4 players like this. Little did we know what we were in for. Let's jump in. Starting through the preparation period, you may already see that their ships are not there until the last 30 minutes before they all jump in through the jump gate. And you can see they have the exact same strategy. They're all going. This is not one battleship. This is a stack of different ships all put together. I'm scrolling through them. It's kind of incredible. But also, what's incredible is the level of synchronicity that they have in all their ships. And when I say they, I mean like it's probably like 2 people sharing about 10 alts, and that's what I assume is happening here. So when I say he in place of their entire team, that's what's going on. But anyways, so they go for this level 1 planet here. And if I slow this down, you're going to see just how synchronized that was. Like Genesis Crunch to give exactly the amount of hydrogen that they're looking for to go there. We're doing something similar. We're also going for our L1. We're just playing like normal people. But okay. So they move on forward, and you probably see here that there's a chain ray. Chain ray right there. Yeah, chain ray is pretty interesting. And you're going to see a lot of that this game because this guy has Chainray, and he does, and he does, and he does, and he does. And that's pretty dangerous. Usually Chainray requires a lot of coordination between the players. So what they do is they have 2 people or 2 ship. What he does is he takes 2 ships with impulse shield and moves them up here to grab the G6 tile before we can. And what you can also see is that one of them, this one here, has a level 9 barrier, which is really big. And I guess it's to ensure that we can't even get onto the tile unless, I guess maybe if we also have impulse or something like that. They're already collecting relics. Like we don't even have it deposited, and they're at the point where this looks like it's ready to go. I'm gonna put this at 0.5 for a moment here. So at this point, we realized, like we saw, when we played this on our phones, right? The ships would disperse when you zoom in, so it didn't look as ridiculous at this. Like everyone knew that their whole team was moving in exactly the same way. So we all just decided, okay, let's go to I4 instead because we're not going to be able to play against that. There's so many barriers here. Like check this out. This one has a barrier, and this one has a barrier. Barrier, 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 barrier. Are we back at the beginning again? Is that another barrier? Like barrier, if we look at how it works, whoops, it it runs for 6 hours, and then you have a day and 12 hours of cooldown. So after 5 barriers, you can run the first barrier again. Or maybe you need 6 barriers or something. I'm not sure. They can basically just always have barrier up if they need to. Except for Q-Phenom P does not go to I4. No, he decides he's going to take the challenge. And here you can see the beginning of how this chain ray thing works. So If I could select the ship, that would be so cool. So just a level 6 chain ray has a 360 support range, which is about triple what a typical weapon would do. I think it's exactly triple, actually. And so you add a pile of damage and you add range to the receiving ship. So here, let's try to grab the receiving ship. There it is. We can see now he can do 6k DPH with this ship. And the radius for Chainray is much bigger than what is up here? Is this the yeah, I'm not actually hold on, let's play this through. How does it happen? Yeah, there's it's already happening, right? So this isn't even the attack radius. Like it's this bubble here. And poor Q Phenom's already taking 6k DPH. Like that's pretty crazy. So what does he do? He uses impulse, barrier, and bond. And in response, this ship that was just bonded here uses barrier as well. But as you can see, Q Phenom is not obstructed. He can move on forward. And that's because of a special property that Bond has. If we look at Bond, you can see the ownership will not be affected by a barrier field activated by the enemy ship. So it kind of counters a barrier, except it doesn't counter a person playing like a robot algorithm communist. So what you're going to see here is he takes a pile of damage. Their battleships are stacked like a can of Pringles. Q Phenom comes on out with 112 hit points left on his ship, and he's caught a mouse, right? He grabbed their level 6 battleship. In the meantime, they're already about to score their first points at 3 days and 21 hours left on the clock. Probably the fastest we have ever and will ever see. But anyways, Q Phenom decides he's going to bring this level 6 battleship to where our battleships are, since it was a bit risky before to, bring it towards the support ships. Here's 2 more relics they already have. We're working on ours, right? We went for a similar strategy with our L1, so it's not too bad. They just used all of this remote mining, what is it? Genesis and Enrich, all in perfect unison again. Like, just look how ridiculous this is. It's kind of comical to look at it. So now all of these miners are doing something that we know we can't. We know we lost, right? We're like, we can't beat these guys. This is insane. But okay. So they score the point. They actually already scored a point. They score more points now. So now it's 3-1. And this guy's already on his way back. Did nothing, right? Doesn't even try to finish off Q Phenom P. Nope, just back in formation, folks. Like, standing in line. Standing in line. Darrow tries to be a hunter, right? And doing what Darrow does. But the problem is that, well, these guys are just so ridiculously crazy, right? So what happened here was he used barrier at this particular moment in an effort to freeze Darrow so that this Destiny, you can see it just like perfectly misses the trajectory of where his ship is going. So I guess the guy doesn't sleep either. But anyways, Darrow realizes he needs to get out of this situation and wants to get behind. So he runs the Destiny anyways. Actually, that might have been programmed in Time Machine and maybe he was asleep. I don't know. But anyways, that happens. I got dislodged because of trying to, thinking I could catch up with Mr. L6 over here. And meanwhile, they're just got this powerhouse of stuff happening. And, we're hoping to grab a couple more relics. Q Phenom P's bringing in the other 2 from our L1. Darrow pops on over with Destiny. Q Phenom realizes he needs to go back to the jump gate to refuel up and grab those hit points back. We start creating relics and using relic drone. I'm going to have to zoom out like pretty often just to keep on top of what's happening this map, because not only does it look like the most boring game, but I think like the most things happen in the smallest amount of time. So let's just carefully watch this happen as it goes and make sure we don't miss anything. Okay, we do our enrich, our stuff. And by this point now, the strategy in Time Machine, what it appeared is that we started realizing we need to get to this planet here and try to intercept them from the way back so that we can maybe catch all of these. We just know there's going to be a pile of relics coming up, right? So, okay, so that's the strategy. And if you just noticed, this transport came out of nowhere and used dispatch. So he was hiding a transport behind the jump gate. Like, he must have read Sun Tzu's Art of War, concealing that power, right? I've never seen an opponent play like this, right? Found a vulnerability. So they already have 7 relics here, right? Like, the timing was that right before his miners put the relics on their planet, he already filed for a dispatch. He already dispatched to try to disrupt our ability to collect relics. Let's keep it rolling. I think I can roll it a little faster. Let's see what some of the other players are. Jim's able to pivot the strategy a bit, right? He doesn't want to risk getting caught in by dispatch, so he's dropping 1.6k hydrogen on our L5. We need to get the relics anyways, so it's probably better to do that. We're all feeling quite intimidated, and Jim has decided to move on forward here over to their L5 effectively. And this is going to be very interesting. I'm going to come back to that in just a second. But we can see here, Tricky's mined a bunch of hydrogen at this point. There's stuff that's happening. It's pretty cool. In the meantime, Tricky's moving forward, and the strategy here is to... Oh yeah, there's another ship that comes on up. Who knew? Here, can I just select? There we go. To try to get there before the dispatch happens. So the dispatch will hit in 10 hours. And Tricky has impulse, so presumably he can catch up to the dispatch and allow us to collect these things uninterrupted. With Relic Drone, you can't move it off, right? So here we go. And let me see. Is what I think is going to happen already happening here? Okay. Check this out. Like, why would this guy move with Impulse Shield to our planet? Does that look like a good idea? Maybe. But what you will see is that is totally not his intention. His intention instead is to teleport exactly back to where he was. And if you're starting to understand the gist of how this opponent works by now, you'll already see that what he's done is he's moved his scope of where that chain ray can cover while still being within range of his support chain rays to be able to hit Jim while he's on this path over to their L5. And this will prove to be an extremely effective strategy because it does 5.6k DPH. So even though Jim has Omega Shield and 4 mods plus his drone all ready to go, you just can't sustain that kind of damage. At the same time, they've decided to use recoil on this planet in anticipation of trying to disrupt our support ships, which are coming on in over here. And then this ship that came up out of nowhere is geared up with, another chain ray turret. Who would have guessed? But anyways, look at this stuff. Their ships are working like worker bees. And my understanding is the strategy that they're going with here is that they want to keep the number of relics they have down as much as possible, right? So they put all their support ships there. It looks like all the eggs are in one basket, but that is one hell of a sturdy basket. Omega Shield's been chewed through. Jim can't really do anything. He could use Bond, but the problem with Bond is that the teleport is still going to happen, and the chain ray is still going to be in range. So what's the point? By Jim, our level 600 gone, just like that. Devastating. Devastating opponent. I'm thinking now, uh-oh, maybe I shouldn't go across, but for some reason only one of them has teleport. So this is where it starts to become a question like, what other mods do these guys have? How are they synergizing them all? And what you can see is there's always a coverage of blast shield ready to go in case somebody wants to come in and try to use blast effects to take out these support ships. Kind of crazy. We're able to start getting some relics on the way as well. Remember, it's still 3-3 here. We're still tied. Still tied. So Tricky's coming in, trying to stop that dispatch from happening. And I'm not actually sure what happened here. Slaughter Knight uses Bond on Darrow, and I can't quite figure out what exactly was the situation here because it's just not in range. Maybe that was a mistake, Or maybe he just doesn't want this missile drone to be within range of the support ships or something. Like, I'm not really sure. But anyways, then we'll call this Mr. Chainray Turret Impulse here decides to go for Tricky. Tricky does take out the dispatch. Taking out this dispatch was the only support kill our team uh, is able to do the entire game. That was the only support kill, right? That is how strong their fortitude is here. And you're going to see as this plays through just what else happens. I'm just going to check my data here and see. Yeah, one support kill, a bunch of relics created and brought back, but it's just not enough. Anyways, let's keep this rolling. So, Tricky uses Destiny. Let me try to explain, if I can, what was the rationale here. Um, oh, right. Typical play to catch the opponent. Except it doesn't. Except it doesn't. Why? Because once again, he's using teleport right at the edge. Right at the edge. He's using teleport to stay outside of range. So yes, he can do damage and he can receive damage, but Destiny is not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And there it is. I'll zoom out here because, like I said, right, a lot of things happen really fast in this match and it's hard to see. So the recoil comes on in and we're able to anticipate it properly. The missile drone does get fired off by Talon, and this missile drone looks like it could potentially do quite a bit of damage if used in just the right way. And you know, it's just, I don't even know how to explain all of this. Falkio tries to come on in with teleport. He actually ran this a while back. It's only 2 hours left. So while all those ships were here, he comes on in with teleport in an effort to disrupt them, stop them from being able to grab stuff. But because they keep their relic count low and their miners are just waiting with the fuel, they're able to control how many relics are loaded into their relic drones to adapt to the situation as it happens in real time. So in this case, normally these relic drones would be toast from a teleport, right? But even that strategy was not effective here. In this case, Space Titan is doing a really fun strategy as well, which you'd think would also work great, right? He's got Alpha Shield, he's got Vengeance, and Vengeance has a 220 AU range, which means that in theory that blast should be able to kill their support ships. And there's a funny there was a funny screenshot on the Discord of that Vengeance like right in the middle of the G6 tile here, and it just blows all of them up. But of course that's too good to be true. What do? They run a barrier and catch him exactly where they want him, precisely right here where he's able to receive, I don't know what he's getting, like 2k DPH from their L6. Who's now going to disrupt some of our level 5 planet relic system, if you want to call it that. Did I just see a teleport trigger here? Right, this teleport, once again, right, like, I'm not going to be able to comment on every little thing that happens this game, but right here you can see it's another similar situation of holding bond on the other player, using teleport to freeze yourself, and then leveraging that extra range that you get from Chainray so that the enemy is in range, but they are not in range of you. And la-di-da, poor Darrow, another victim from this crazy Chinese team of a communist mega algorithm computer bastard. But anyways, forgive my French. So now we have Space Titan, who's coming on in, and he's got his Vengeance going. I think this is still tricky here. Hopefully, trying to be useful. But at this point, I feel like most of us were getting kind of just frustrated with how impossible this opponent was. But what you can also see, as a double safety measure, as if not being in range of any of the support ships was bad enough, there's a blast shield with 16 hours on the clock. And when Vengeance rolls through, it will be completely absorbed by this level 9 blast shield because it has a shield strength of 8k. which is more than the 5k from Vengeance. Meanwhile, what are you gonna do, right? Who's, Q MP? Yep, bye. He comes in to save the day, though. And you can start to see a lot of circles here, right? This one is also quite interesting. So this here is another blast shield to protect from missile blasts on the other relics. And what you'll notice is that they're perfectly inside of the blast radius, blast shield radius. Kind of cool. I mean, the map just looks interesting with all these circles, but my goodness, could we do anything right? It's just crazy. Tricky deploys a laser drone to try to get some damage in on Mr. Rocket Impulse. And what do we do here? Yes, Phenom decides to deploy a barrier to stop their L6 from doing more damage to us. A nice save as well. Since he has mass battery, you can use repair drone, which is always really nice against mass battery because it will always get hit. As you can see here, I guess the Vengeance went off while I was off screen, but over here, yeah, the blast shield just absorbs all of it. And Falkio, now he's in. He's got a tank Chainray. He's already almost finished. It's just not a nice situation to be going up against. And he's already taking in more damage. What's this one doing? 3k DPH. There's just nothing there, right? I apologize for not having proper coverage on this. I can't hit the back button because it's Hades Star. So but what happened with Falkio was he was able to tank quite a bit actually by using his decoy drone earlier. But these things just get chewed up. And, if you're going to have all these chain rays, what can you do? What can you do? Why is he frozen here? Trying to understand what's happening. How is that even possible? Is there a barrier up? Why isn't Falkio able to move? I don't think I can answer this question. Oh no, he's inside of this barrier here, which for some reason was not visible. Oh no, this is oh my goodness. The red one here, this is the barrier. Falkio's inside of yet another barrier, right? And it's it's perfect, right? Because like if he could get forward, that mass battery would just rain fire on all these support ships. But this Chinese team player is not phased at all. Not phased at all, right? So here we are once again. Look at that crazy overlap. It's just crisp and clean. And what's Tricky doing? He's sitting with a barrier waiting for his laser drone to charge up. We are bringing some relics back. Actually, we're in the lead. What do you know? And it feels so good because we know we're going to lose, but we're in the lead. So that's kind of cool. We actually got a little bit of a lead for a short amount of time, but it doesn't last very long. So yes, L6 still trapped. Tricky finished. Like, what can you do against an absolute beast of an opponent? And here, oh my goodness, yes, this one. Look at this. So, Leap, let's take a look at Leap. This battleship just appeared, by the way. Like, I guess a mod was switched out or something. Like I said, I'm not going to have full coverage here. But Leap, oops, initiates teleport to the target location of the nearest allied battleship or drone engaged in combat anywhere in the star system, which for some reason at this particular moment was all the way over here. I mean, it's practically like dispatch for battleships, and the only requirement is that this ship needs to stay alive for the hours that Leap is activating with. Once again, we're being outplayed and completely dominated by their prowess with this. The ship stays alive, the leap happens, of course, and now they're on the aggressive, right? They're using these impulse shields and coming in hot, guns up, ready to try and terrorize us. And it might have been around this point, actually, like, Jim comes back in and stuff. One of their players joined our corporation just to, like, insult us and be like, oh, you come back through the jump gate so we can kill you again. That's all that's gonna happen. Haha, you guys suck. Like, whatever, the chirping was real. these were like super uncool players. What can I say? I mean, they're, I guess when you dedicate your life to running 10 alt accounts, you gotta stroke your ego one way or another. And yep, that's how that went down. So I'm gonna speed this up a bit because that's pretty much how this goes. As you can see, they're in the lead now, and they're gonna stay in the lead. Uh, we're able to get some relics. Captain Barnacles, thank you very much. Maddox, you need to warp out, but thanks for picking the relics up. Poor little me. I know I just don't even care anymore. I get it. That you guys, you played us, terrorizing us with recoil. Like, let's go. Jim goes in to teleport to all of this. It looks so juicy. In any game, this would be an idea, but you just know that somehow it's not gonna work, right? Let's just watch it. You can just predict it, Oh, he jumps in. Let's see. He jumps in and oh, how did that happen? They all responded. So there's is that one, two, three impulse shields all running at the same time, plus a barrier, a level 8 suspend. Suspend is really cool because it will give you 54, well, normally it's 40% at level 1, but at level 8 you get 54% damage reduction on all these ships, right? So mega damage reduction. And what is Jim doing at this point? Like, I guess he's targeting a whole bunch of decoy drones. Right. They all release decoy drones. Where did they even come? How's this even possible? Famine Knight, Conquest Knight, and Death Knight. Where are these ships? Famine Knight, Conquest Knight. So a bunch of decoy drones to tank all three targets that Mass Battery can do. I mean, you got to appreciate just how insanely hopeless it was. Of course, he's completely massacred Jim again. I mean, I appreciate your efforts, Jim, and I can only imagine how normally this would work in in a typical game. What's going on here, actually? I think he's somehow found a way to leap all the way here again. I'm not sure how that's possible. I guess the turret is the drone that's engaged in combat. It's a really weird terminology that should probably be addressed by the game developers, who are Canadian, by the way, because this drone's clearly not engaged in combat, and Leap was activated 50 minutes ago, so I'm not really sure how that should be possible. But anyways, some of us come on through the jump gate and try to do a little bit more damage, but we knew we were going to lose, and now we're losing, so it is what it is. They just go on in and continue to massacre the rest of us and probably, I don't know, do what they do. Q Phenom still in the ring, still at it, trying to do what he can. But then the match ends and it's 8-24. I'm proud of us for getting 8 points against this opponent. I guess anyone would because, they didn't really mess with us in the beginning, but what the hell, man? Probably the most ridiculous game that you can have. The whole point of this game is teamwork and camaraderie and playing together and being able to communicate, and that's totally ruined by a player like this. And I have to just say that I completely disagree with this behavior. And if it was up to me, I think that this corporation should be like these players should have their modules removed or something, because it kind of kills the fun. But on the other hand, you can watch these videos and learn a lot about their strategies and tactics, because in our next game we learned from them and we were like, oh, why don't we use chainring? So that's what happens there. But otherwise, thanks for watching.